This is Hannibal here from the Hannibal TV.com with a daily wrestling news update. The big news today, which is more of a rumor than news, according to Conrad Thompson, who obviously knows a lot of people in AEW, does podcasts with someone that works very closely with AEW, as in Jeff Jarrett. I'm not saying it's him that said anything about this rumor, but he knows a lot of people in AEW. He's claiming that Shane McMahon has allegedly reached out and sent some feelers out to some talent about him possibly coming into AEW. Since there's very little positive talk about AEW right now, and it's a fairly stale product, I think this would be good if it were to happen. Would breathe some life into it, and we've always heard that there's friction between Shane and Stephanie and Triple H. So if Shane could be on the legitimate competition AEW side and Stephanie and Triple H on the WWE side, I mean that could make things very interesting. Not only is he a really smart guy, does he look like Vince McMahon? And he's had some great matches over the years, performed some great stunts, which obviously Tony Khan loves stunts. He would just breathe life into the product, and I'm sure would give AEW a boost. I mean, honestly, other than Goldberg coming in, and I honestly think Shane McMahon would get more of a buzz than Goldberg at this point. Goldberg, by the way, said he's still interested in having an official retirement match. But other than Goldberg, I think Shane McMahon is a guy that could move like talk about it the most. Stephanie McMahon too, but obviously that's not going to happen as long as Triple H is head of WWE Creative, and I'm not sure if he's still head of WWE Talent or not. Also, speaking of AEW, Matt Hardy commented on why him and Jeff Hardy jumped from AEW, which probably was paying them a lot more to TNA. He says that in 11 months they hadn't won on TV, and he feels like they were legitimately one of the greatest tag teams of all time and not treated like legends, and were thinking to themselves, what's going on here? I don't blame them for that. I mean, they're probably fairly well off financially, and they weren't being used. Jeff Hardy wasn't even used really in the last bunch of time on his contract, when they should have at least used him to put other talent over and to pop ratings. So now the TNA is working very closely with WWE. There's shades of WCW invasion, the ECW invasion with WWE. What happened the last time an product invaded WWE? WWE actually owned those products. So I'm sure it's only a matter of time before WWE owns TNA if they don't secretly own it already. I mean, there's already a former WWE executive that just slipped into a role there. Speaking of NXT, which is using TNA wrestlers very often now, there's no NXT ratings, strangely not out yet this week, which is bizarre. I don't know why. Their official debut on the CW network is October 1st at 8 p.m. And again, this is another reason why I think WWE is absorbing TNA. Once NXT moves to CW and all this WWE program moves to Netflix, they might use TNA to fill some of those time slots. That's something I would do anyways if I had the money they did. And I mean, not that TNA has popped the rating in the last few weeks. It hasn't even got a 0.01 rating, but more people are talking about TNA now than I can even remember. So, and there's positive talk about it. So ultimately, even though I don't know, WWE might be absorbing it, at least people are talking about the product. And it wasn't being run very well in the days when they were having women win the main title of the men's. Also in AEW news, apparently the Blade is still under contract. However, the Bunny has been released and is now training as a figure skater. So there you go. Apparently, Double or Nothing weekend when they go to Wembley, they're going to do a Dynamite and Collision taping in Cardiff, Wales, where, of course, AEW hasn't done a European show outside of that one Wembley shows, and that's a market where you can tell they're starved, unlike here in Canada and the US where we're kind of used to seeing wrestling all the time. They can still get good crowds there and really loud crowds.